One is on sports psychology or peak performance practices, and the other is on stress management and trauma release. And of course, right now, with the pandemic and the social turmoil that is happening in the world, what I offer is very, very beneficial for everybody. And it can be used at any level. For instance, businesses need it. Educators, think about being a teacher now, whether you're a professor or a kindergarten teacher. You've had to possibly teach online, which is totally new to you. You also don't know whether you're going to get back to the classes or not. The kids do not get to have fun with their friends at school, and they're going through trauma, not seeing each other, and so on and so forth. It's just insane, as well as the trouble with people not having any money to be able to provide for their families, or very little money. And I don't know anybody in the world, except maybe the super elite, that are living in a way that they're basically mostly used to, except for going out to, special restaurants, but they can eat, drink, and be merry where they are. Others have turmoil. So I'm here to be able to serve, because I've also helped create a people's Peace Lab. The Peace Lab is about how to be able to find the missing link, the philosopher's stone that will allow us to have peace in the world, in everything. So it's like peace in everything, everything with peace. And when we have that mind concept, when we have that thought in our minds, when we feel that it's not peaceful right now, we can say, ouch, or we can say, please just give me a moment. I don't feel comfortable. And then you can talk about what causes the turmoil or the lack of peace. There's so many things in the Peace Lab that we do, from economics. Think about it. Economics that take the workers into account, the environment into account, and of course, the corporation. So when we take all three into account, everything thrives. We don't have to rape the planet. We can treat the planet with respect and still benefit from the planet, like in regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture allows the products of the planet to be able to be grown in their natural environment or in a more holistic way. And the soil is fed by that particular way of regenerative agriculture. The plants have no pesticides on it to kill the insects, which will kill birds because birds eat insects. And so we are near a extinction period, a mass extinction period caused by the social injustice, caused by the rape of the planet, because we have been acting like a caterpillar, eating everything so much. And now nature says, wait a minute, not so good. If you want to mess with me, boom, we have a virus. Boom, we can't go out, and so on. Now we're like the cocoon. And we on this call, all of us, are thinkers and people with hearts. And when we open our heart and have it communicate more with our brain, then we can figure out solutions to the issues, rather than having fear that is being sold to us all the time on social media, on newscasts, and so on. And the Peace Lab takes the advantage of all of your brains and all of your ways. For instance, one simple thing you can do if you walk the streets is smile and say hi. And people may look at you like you're weird, But guess what? It gave them a thought, maybe I can lighten up. What happens when you see a smile? It'll lighten the person up a little bit. And the more light we bring to the planet, the more release of tensions, and so on and so forth. So I'll also give you two other little things. I started the Institute of Sports Psychology in Bombay, India. That was what it was called in those days in 1982. In 1983, I started Success Systems International. And that was to be able to work in the corporate world and business world and bringing peak performance for businesses. I was asked to work with the PepsiCo International. That's the drink, the Pepsi. I was going to leave for India, so I said, no, I won't be able to work with you. I'm going for a year leave to be able to go deeper into spirituality on all levels. And I've been blessed ever since I've been born because of seeking the truth and seeking to offer what is good to others. That's why I became a teacher. That is my dharma, as they say in India. It is my vocation. So I didn't have to work really a day in my life because I followed that dharma, that vocation. So are there any questions? I don't. I never was on this. Well, was I on this broadcast once, right?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
No, I think that is the first time that you joined with us here.
Yes,
I don't know about the
first
others. And I'm very pleased to have you here over here.
Yes.
And you told that you're from Bombay and you had been in Bombay and you did some spirituality kind of work over there. So I'm pleased to listen to all these things from you. And as you told that we need to know ourselves and we need to understand ourselves and we need to improve ourselves. And after that, it's our duty to impart our knowledge to others, help others, to support others without any expectations. So this is the work of a human being.
Totally. The thing is when we learn from what's called biomimicry, learning from nature, learning how the healthy human cell will help neighboring cells to be able to be healthier if they're sick. The only cell in the human body that doesn't do that is the one that everybody fears, cancer. It only thinks about itself, sort of like a former president that we had. If I don't get elected, it's a fake election. It's never, ever happened. Before the end of the election, he even said it was fake. So we get to be able to follow things that work. We get to be able to be expressive in our joy. There's one of the world scriptures says, "Be thee like little children and enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, you may not believe in heaven. You get to be able to be really feeling great when you act like a little child. What do they act like? They act in awe. They are awestruck all the time. These little children, they're looking around at life and how it moves and grows, and the trees and the breeze and the insects. And there's a wonderful film called The Emerald Forest. It's probably one of the best films I could recommend for living. And it shows a little boy in the Amazon who happens to be from another country, never been in the Amazon. And he's allowed to wander off a little bit from his family who were out on a picnic. And they say, don't go too far, because he's looking at ants carrying big leaves and moving in the forest like this or that. And he's in awe because he's never seen such a thing in the city where he lives. But then he gets kidnapped by the invisible people. And ultimately, for 10 years, he lives with them and imbibes how they live, totally at one with nature. They are not separate from it. For instance, I am just another you. We happen to be human beings and we look different. Like, I have an identical twin. He looks exactly like me. Scary, I know, but that's another story. He happens to be a person who likes the former president. I have a selfie with Bernie Sanders, who's way opposite of what the former president was. So we are way different inside, but we look the same outside, just like flowers, just like the birds. And we can talk to the birds. We can find the wisdom from the birds. There was a very great Sufi book on the birds, but I forget the exact title of it. But I love the interfaith kind of work. I love the intercultural work, because cultures are so beautiful. And the foods of different areas, oh my God, you get to explore that too when you get to travel. And what is there about life is exploration. Finding out what really helps us to be able to thrive. So I consult in that with SDG number 4, which is education, because when we learn to be able to educate, basically like Socrates did, walk around the gardens and ask questions and explore the truth, because all the wisdom is inside. And that's why we meditate. Meditation calms the mind to be still, to be able to get the insights, the inspiration, the enthusiasm, tapping the intellect. All these things come from inside. But if our mind is going in its well-conditioned way, we're distracted by all kinds of things from the past. And we don't have to be distracted. We can just be happy. Oh, I see the Dalai Lama. I got to hang out with him for about 12 hours. Wow, that was such a blessing. Such a great soul. But
Yes, yes, there are a lot of knowledge from nature we should gain, right? So
yes.
that kind of a great integration and combination as well. Actually, I have introduced you to our groups here with our member. I mean, like several months, for several months, and with the technique. Should I share my screen here? And I have introduced this technique to my group's member here about you. And they are very excited, yeah, to get to know that. That kind of how to practice and make ourselves more powerful, healthier, and happier life. Yes. So
Very definitely. I have a practice that's called the Peacemaker Meditation. And it's a psychosomatic spiritual practice. And I'll put it into the chat. And it also has a link to the way that you can see how to do it. And roller coaster fingers, the one that you learn for the breathing, is very, very powerful, as you found out. But this one actually brings us a lot deeper. It is also psychosomatic, and so on, because if you will, let's all do this right now. Lean forward like you have a tray in your hand and you're holding the tray outstretched. So it looks like this. Your hands are like this, but you're leaning forward almost with your elbows on your legs. You're leaning so far forward. And then as you're ready to breathe in, you breathe in and you mentally say, or out loud, you say, peace in everything, and you touch your heart. And as you bend forward, breathing out, you say, everything with peace. Peace in everything. Come on. Everything with peace. Peace in everything. Everything with peace. Peace in everything. Everything with peace. The movement, this rocking back and forth, is like what is called the Western Wall in Jerusalem. The Jewish people will stand in front of this wall and they will be doing their prayer. And they're moving back and forth like this. But we are adding peace in everything, everything with peace. And when that thought reverberates in your mind more and more in your day, so if you get out of focus or you get a little disturbed or a little stressed out, you can just say, just a moment. And you can do this out loud or silently. And you will become more peaceful. It will calm the mind down to a chosen thought. And that will, at one time, when we do it enough, pretty soon, there's no thoughts. And that's when we tap into the source, that source of life, that source of joy, that source of giving, the gift that we were here to give. I give as a teacher, as an educator. I say educator because teachers give you facts, like we can have a phone. Oh boy, it can have more facts than I can remember. How do I use the phone for the benefit of humanity? Right now, on a live program is something that I help produce some of. It's called Humanity Rising, and I can put a link to that if you'd like into the chat. And every day at the same time during the week, they produce a program that deals with all kinds of different things that uplift humanity. So it could be environmentally, it could be educationally, it could be all kinds of different ways. And you'll find what people are doing around the world, from Sri Lanka to Mongolia to wherever, what people are doing around the world that will make the world thrive again. And so we get to do the same thing. Like what you're doing with your simple podcast and bringing people together like this is a matrix PowerPoint. And when we enliven the matrix, all the people that are here are able to get to thrive better, get to feel more enthusiasm, and get to be inspired. And then we go out and create something even better. And that's how we're doing with the Peace Lab. For some reason, this isn't being able to get pasted. Let's see. Any questions?
Yes, that's so great. That's kind of a lot of energy in life, because right now, at the moment, with like a pandemic situation, we have a lot of stress. So I really love the ways to enjoy life and the ways to release stress from you. Like that's all methods that's really helpful and effective for me as well. And I got the chance to share that technique to everyone here. Yeah, so today we are very happy to have you. So everyone, please give here our guest today some questions.
Let me show you this before. This is a book that took 40 years to produce, from teaching all over the world and all the different programs that I've given. It's got a lot of simple practices, body, mind, spirit, and emotions that you can work with to calm the anger, if you have anger, to release negative habits and change them into positive habits, and all of that. Now, this is available very inexpensively in a Kindle kind of a thing, in a digital form. I kept it very, very inexpensive, so anybody in the world can take advantage of it. The printed one is still very inexpensive also. It's also on Audible. And I'm just listening to a great book that's by Anita Sanchez. I just met with her this past week. And Anita has a book called The Four Sacred Gifts. And the first one is forgiving the unforgivable. But I digress. I can talk about the store. I can talk for, I give intensive programs, full weekend, and give interactive practices, because we get an intellectual understanding and a direct experience. So it's like, instead of talking about just a mango, we get to eat it. You can tell I love mangoes. Okay, questions?
Wow, that's so amazing. Yeah, some valuable books, and that's kind of valuable gifts in life for us. Yes. So please, Sister Azista, do you have any question?
Actually, no question, but I know when we can be calm and we reduce our speed in our life, I think it's big step for being happy, for being calm in our life. I know it very well. But unfortunately, nowadays technology push us to being very fast in all of things, and it gives a lot of stress to us. But when we can come back our nature and slow and making a slow all of our step, I think it's great, and it's big successful for being calm. I know it, and I'm sure about it. Yeah. For this reason, if you can come back to the nature and walk in the nature and follow the nature and respect to animals, respect in our environment, in our nature, I think it's the biggest step. I'm sure about it.
Totally, that's totally true.
About myself, when I'm nervous and I'm get some anxiety about my job, about my work, walking through the nature, it's the best. It's the best for me. It calmed me very soon. Yeah, I have this kind of experience. I'm sure about it, because it's the best way for extinguish my anxiety. A short moment, it works for me. I'm sure about it. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me it again.
That's an important point. You mentioned this, walking in Mother Nature. Yeah. When we can, simply take off your shoes and walk on Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Or sit and have your feet bare and just put your feet on the earth and sit there. I do it at least 2 hours a day. And it's one of the reasons is because Mother Earth has a set vibration. And the vibration that comes into our body will then harmonize all the cells of our body to that vibration. It's a very powerful way. Lean against a tree if you'd like. That brings up even more of the vibrations into you. Or I live near the beach. So I used to ride 25 miles to the beach on my bike every day in the summer. And I would play beach volleyball because I love that. if I'd lost on the court, I would go and surf for a while. Then I'd come back up and play some more volleyball. And at 3 p.m, ride my bike back. But lying on the beach or playing on the beach, whether you're playing Frisbee or ultimate or any kind of games, always releases stress. And that's why be like little children, play more. I have a friend who has a card game that instead of workout, cards, people have all kinds of things to get them to work out. I mean, people used to work instead of have to work out, but that's another story. He calls these cards play out. And it gets kids to have a fun time getting physically fit and having fun. So why don't we do that in schools? We designed a physical education program that was rated the best in the state of California because it strengthened character, it was super fun, and it was fit for life ideas. 3 main things. Why don't we have that in all the physical education practices? Trust and teamwork, social skill development. We can bring character education in. On the 24th of this month, the Peace Lab is producing a program on Humanity Rising Global Solutions Platform on character inclusion, getting character development into all areas of life. And we're exposing 3 different character development programs. It's not any one, because one will appeal to you more than another. I prefer the Living Values Education Program. And I can put that in the chat too, if you'd like, but I better shut up so you can ask questions.
Yes. Now, Mr. Sasiraj, your turn.
I just want to ask one question. When you feel that now you are much mature person, you have very good understanding, you can convince the people, and people also follow your instructions. But sometimes, then you have a person who is connected with you, like your family members or your best friend. He's very much firm with his own decisions. He's obstinate. He doesn't follow you. He doesn't follow your instructions. He doesn't know about you, that how others are following your instructions, respecting you. But what about your family members? What about your best friend who's living with you? Okay, when you're trying to convince him, when you're trying to say something that, okay, you don't do this work, like he's smoking, right? He's smoking. I'm just trying to convince, don't smoke. It's a severe to health. You can have bad health just because of smoking. But he's not ready to understand you. He's saying that you're my friend, you're telling me all these things. So why you're telling me this? It's a gift, relax to me. I can improve my blood pressure just because of this smoking. It's a kind of small example.
Yes.
So how can we convince to those kind of people? Because, yeah.
Well, for one thing, I'll give you an example for my son and most sons, or some sons or whatever. They don't listen to the dad, no matter, like I've trained Olympians and world record holders. I've worked with professional athletes all over the world. I've spoken at the United Nations, at Oxford Medical School. I have pretty good credentials. Yet, my son likes to drink, and drinking is not good for you. If you're a Muslim, it's not good at all. and we live a life that we each have our own preferences. So how I look at life is seeing God in each other, treating each other with great respect and love. And when we do that, they can learn by my simple modeling. Like I put in the chat about the primary preventions for issues from parenting. I'll put another one in on regard to that forgiveness. A person learns how to be able to teach their kids how to love, but if you're beaten and the father is saying, I'm beating you because I love you, and so you think love is beating somebody, and so on and so forth. So I'm passing on my knowledge and the wisdom that I have been able to gather in every experience. I just traveled over 2,000 miles in less than a week. And I met with some incredible people and saw some awesome land around America. The key is that when I offer what I have and they take it and use it, it's like I'm doing it for my son, because then the world is better. They are better. And he will have somebody else to model from. Not me, because he can't take it from me. He's had enough of me. And at a certain age, you feel like you got to spread your wings and go your way. But your way can be influenced by so many others. So when we treat each other as God walked in, I'll give you an example. I lived in a little village in India, about 50 miles out of Bombay. Take a bus to get this place and so on and so forth. Train into Bombay. Out in this village with hot springs around it, kids are having fun just with almost nothing. And there's a mud hut with cow dung floors and so on. And if you're invited in and they only have a handful of rice, they will treat you like God walked in the door. They will fix it for you, but it's only a handful of rice for their family. Why? When we see God in each other, we're living maybe very simply, but we're living happily. We're like little children. God's provided the birds and the bees with everything. He provided us to feed the trees. What? We feed it our air and it feeds us its air. It helps the microbiome of the earth thrive so that other plants underneath it can grow. And we get fed. Yes, Azita.
Yes, I have one question. I know some people after 40 years or 50 years, yes, they can be calm and they can see what another point and totally they change their mind about their life and they change their lifestyle and they will be calm and peace. Yeah, I know it. But for young people, for teenagers, for example, they have to pass a lot of exam, entrance exam. They have to go to the university, getting job, and they have to thinking about their marriage, and all of them makes a lot of problem and give them a lot of stress. How can they accept this kind of advice from their parent? Be calm, don't worry, all of things will be going well, and don't worry, trust to God, and be calm, reduce your speed. How can deal with this kind of problem with our children, our young people?
Well, there's a key is to be able to have them experience it, for one thing. Most of their day is, and then they're having to go do something. They're memorizing, like you said, the facts to be able to pass the exams. But to pass the exams, if your mind is worried, you don't gather the thoughts so well. And when you're stressed out, and when you explain all the ifs, ands, or buts of why it's important, then they get an experience of it, to have that calmer mind, or to sit outside with your, like yoga used to be taught outside on the ground, barefooted, no mats, because mats are all synthetic. You got to feel Mother Earth. You did it at certain times of day or night. Usually it was in the morning and in the evening. And it was done at that time because it would prepare you to liven up your day, like with a fast Surya Namaskar, the fast sun salutation, or you do another practice to mellow it out, because usually at the end of a yoga session, you do the savasana, the corpse pose, you can use in all of your yoga a mantra that calms the mind while you're doing something physical. So when I do my water aerobics, it's a movement, right? You're doing this and you're doing that, moving the body in the water, getting a lot of exercise. As I do it, I get to be able to do peace in everything, everything with peace, peace in everything, everything with peace, flipping the water up and exercising my arms and doing something else in the water with my legs and, doing the breathing. I use peace in everything, everything with peace. Calms the mind, which allows the energy to flow in your body better because there's less static electricity, you might say, and you're able to function better. In training an Olympic athlete, like there was a man named Bob Beamon. He had long jumped almost 2 feet further than anybody had in history. Usually you break records by little bits of inches or millimeters or centimeters, just a little bit, but he did almost 2 feet further. If I were standing in the middle of his long jump, he would have almost jumped over me, and I'm 6'1". He jumped so high and so far. So I was presenting at the Olympic Scientific Congress in 1984 on meditation and the ultimate performance in sports. It's a paper, if you want, email me and I can send you that paper. Bob Beamon was giving the keynote speech in sports psychology for that conference that happens every 4 years. It's the most prestigious conference in sports psychology or sports medicine or sports sciences in the world. I've been there twice, invited twice to present. My second one included technology. You can hook up your sound system and get your brain to be knocked into an altered state, like a meditation state, and put in things like affirmations or afformations into your mind. There's technology that we can use. And when we approach, again, life on a holistic approach, having fun with meditation, having fun with calming the mind, we can be heard by anybody. Kindergartners, you know, this thing was started by kindergartners. They not started. I didn't start it, but I designed this for anybody and everybody. They just named it. So they loved it. They were asking for more. So, question, did that satisfy
Yes,
you?
Anita, hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, so so I just feel happy to talk with you, and I know many things which I just hear from you, and but meditation is means meditations, yoga, those all are doing important role in our life that I know. Still, I want to ask one question. If in family there is one person is feeling alone and nobody support that person, and so we all know support how much important role work for us. We know, everybody knows that, and with support we can grab many things. We can be happy. If there is no one supporting that particular one person, nobody try to understand that person. Instead of support, if all family members mocking that people behind or in front of him sometimes, so how means it is quite difficult to pursue for his that person's life to do something. So that is my question. So that moment, what should do that particular person? Because everybody is against, no one is supporting that person.
Yes, that is a very difficult thing, because I can't see a family doing that. A true family, because families always care about the others. And I'm actually going to be moving, because I finished my chai and I can go outside and be doing what they call earthing, because I actually do practice what I preach. There are some people that don't, and that's why they don't get understood so well. But the person will get depressed. The person could get suicidal, because that's an end result of too much regular depression. And if people don't try to be able to support that person and talk with them, they could have a big problem. So again, this is the idea. There's the first two values that the Living Values Education Program produces or teaches is love and peace, because peace brings love, and love and peace bring every other value that is on this planet. Respect, responsibility, kindness, all that nice values that people have. The Virtues Project lists 52 values, but those are just getting into, like, you can practice them once a week type of a thing. When we have a value that the family can generate, then they can be helped. The society usually throws people like that away. They don't care about the mentally troubled. They don't care about the poor. I mean, we have a weird humanity, because if you looked on one of our productions in the Humanity Rising, it's called The Shapes That Shape Us. In the primitive times, people living in the villages, and just real small villages, living with Mother Nature, not having anything you can buy, you just make it and so on. In those times, everybody lived in circles. Everybody lived in even huts that were very much, in a way, circular. As time changed, like the pyramids, then we got what evolved from the pyramids is the ladder kind of thing, and the ladder is our skyscrapers now. And so we have dictators, we have heads of corporations, we have people telling us, these simple people, how to be, and what you should eat and what you should not, and what you can do and what you can't do. I'm a free spirit. I drove 110 miles an hour on a road that said 65 miles an hour because it was a straight road, nobody was on it, and it was okay. It was safe for my family. I could have been arrested for excessive speed, but it did not stop me from doing it in a safe way. I eat organic food and have done that since the 70s. Why? They used to make fun of me, saying, "You're buying all that expensive health food?" I said, "What kind of food are you eating?" Most of those people are dead. I'm only 75. I actually 94,000 years old, but that's different lifetimes. So our society gets to grow into caring like those circular societies. They sat in the circle. Ubuntu means basically, if it's good for you, it's good for me. A little image, my wife is from South Africa. And Ubuntu, an archaeologist was testing these kids in a little village. He said, "I planted a whole bunch of candy on the other side of that field, and I spread it around that other side of that field. And he had all these kids of the village lined up, and he's telling them, go get it. Whoever gets there first gets as much as they want. And all the kids did, they grabbed each other's hands and sort of skipped over there, and they all feasted and shared. What's good for one is good for all. If it's not good for everybody, like the Native Americans talk about the 7 generations. If it's not good for 7 generations from here, it's not good to do. So if somebody is depressed in a family, you might be the only one in your family to go and talk with them, not at them saying, we got to do this. Question them, find out what is happening, touch the heart, open that. Because if somebody gets into the primal brain, things change. When we get into opening the heart, that opens everybody. That can open anybody. Is that clear for you, Anita? Did you get something that could be useful for you?
Yes, everything I got. But one more question related to that question means which I listen. Sometimes nobody means able to understand, but that person is doing good. But because of another behavior, another thought, they are not able to understand that particular person. So is at that moment, how it's possible to make understand them? It can be long process, and some people, they are orthodox. They are not ready to understand. Means what way they want. They just put forth their opinion in front of that particular person. Yeah, in many family, I can see this kind of things happen. So this is also another question.
Well, one of the things about that is that not everybody can change and doesn't want to. Everybody has free will. Allah gave us free will.
Yeah, my question is only that means if nobody try to understand, means try to understand is different, and not try to understand is different. If they are just their mind are free not to understand, means we don't wanna listen you. Okay, you have to do everything according to us. So that moment, that person, what to do? Means yeah, it is good to persuade them to do that particular work or make understand them. But if that person going to do according another family person's way, so that person will not get that all goals which he dreamed. So that moment, what to do?
You know, sometimes you really can't do anything. And this is something that's hard for us who are empathetic, who care so much. You just can't do anything for them. The closest thing that can help people actually is using what you might call touch therapy. I'll give you an example. A boy fell at school and he dislocated his shoulder. So this shoulder is hanging down. And I said, do you mind to see if I can help? And he said, okay. And I put my hands very softly on his shoulder. I did not move my hand to be able to manipulate it. And I just basically guided him to calm down because it did not feel good. And to calm down as best as he could, because he's thinking, oh, and all that. But as you get him to focus on the breath, again, the breath is so powerful. In India, a special breathing is called pranayama. And this pranayama has been developed. There's all kinds of them to be able to work with the body and the mind, because it's the link to the mind. So when we calm that person, and I actually intentionally thanked Allah for having healed him. And just keeping this boy calm and breathing, and just my hands just caring about him. The touch of the human being, that vibration of a loving person is transmitted both physically and or mentally, that we do not have to touch, Anita, to be able to feel this connection. And I'm so happy you got to show your face because you're not only beautiful, but
I was in dark place and I was, and my battery also low. That's why I just kept mobile camera off. But I also means it's very important whom we are talking. Means if we know that person and we can see that person, so our talking can be more good. So so I appreciate your every thought and everything. So I just love to hear you, and already I know many things. So noise come from me. Okay, so
I think the same. I think the same
answer.
member you're talking about is very persistent, obstinate. You're not able to understand. What do you say to him?
Yeah, like that. But yeah, you shared many YouTube links in our chat box. So I love to see those all videos. I'm very curious to see. Okay, so I want to learn more. Yeah, which I learned, it's okay. But if I can learn more, it's good for me. Through your YouTube channel, through your talks, through your good thoughts. So it's very important for us because life is very, what to say, precious.
Totally. Bring that to, I mean, imagine sharing the joy that we have in our heart. Like you have a little child. You are so blessed to have given birth. I couldn't give birth to our boy, but I could sure be with my wife. And we worked with what's called water birthing. And we did some very unusual things to be able to make it. So my wife looked ecstatic when she gave birth to Narayan, to our youngest son. She was ecstatic much of the time during our first birth because of the work that we did before in the breathing, we cavorted in the water in a pool like dolphins, and in preparation for giving birth, and meditated and ate really, really good food, and did all that we could to bring life in a peaceful way. And I got to be able to guide my son's head out of my wife's incredible body, which is such a blessing for anybody to have. I can imagine just being a pediatrician and doing it all the time. But the sad thing is, pediatricians usually cut the woman open and drag the kid out. And that, for me, is harmful, because a baby is very much like a caterpillar. A baby gains its strength and resilience in going through that birth canal and getting to be able to break through that tight space and work its way through into life. And then it starts to open up. And it has this gaze at you like, wow, I came out of this darkness and look at you. You look great. And you feel great looking at this little child. What magic is there? I mean, such blessings that we have. Yeah.
Yeah. In this world, human is the
Anita, do you mind having some other people have questions, and maybe mute your phone so that there's a bunch of other people on the call who may have a question.
Is there anyone else who wants to ask any questions?
Yes. And thanks a lot. Meditation.
I just want to ask one question. I just want to know about India from your side, because we have been here in India, and I think that you have put name Narayan. So could you tell something about it?
Muktananda gave me the name. Swami Muktananda Paramahansa is my guru. And he gave it to myself and my wife. He named Lakshmi. So Lakshmi Narayan, Narayan and Lakshmi, which is the goddess of wealth and prosperity. For those that don't know, Narayan means the aspect of God that is the refuge of all. So people take refuge in me. Now, my name, Kurt, actually means wise counselor in Old German. So I get to be a wise guy, right? Now, when you start to embody your name or the name that you decide to take, I have a friend, his name is Eli Klein, but he uses on his plaka is like nickname is another and then you. Why? Because he knows that he is an expression of you in a different form. Because we are all one. And this is true tantric teaching. The tantric teachers of Kashmir Shaivism were householders. These people had families like you, Anita, had work, maybe like you, Anita. I'm not sure if you work as well as be a mother. My wife got to be with our sons because I wanted her to raise the boys and teach them. So we homeschooled our boys. And one of them, the oldest one, he got a scholarship to the University of Colorado where I went to school. Even though he was homeschooled, he still got a scholarship. So he got well educated. So this giving of love and life and flourishing is the most important thing to do. And India taught me that you can live simply so others can simply live. India taught me total spirituality, walking and talking. It taught me that there's the good and the bad. There's good and bad people everywhere in the world. And the bad can only change when they have good models. And the Living Values Education Program reduces violence in a refugee camp within 2 years, 90%. And the teachings from the Living Values Education Program actually came from a woman who learned a lot in India. Her name is Diane Tillman. But it doesn't matter where you learn it. You could learn it in Japan. I've given meditation intensives in Japan. I've done intensives in India. And it doesn't matter how you look or where you're from. When you have the wisdom or the Shakti, as they say in Sanskrit, the divine energy, and you can pass it on because you were told to pass it on, then people get it. Why do they get it? Because the Shakti is there. It's like being next to a dynamo, or let's say a tuning fork. If I click the tuning fork on a thing, and here's a tuning fork and I didn't touch it, I move it here, this starts to vibrate. Same vibration. It's not touching it. You don't feel anything between it, but it is affecting it. So we are all tuning forks. We are all that bliss that gets to be able to be shared. So I also left India on a hijacked airplane. I trained the team for the Asian Games in '82. I dated Dimple and Simple Kapadia. I did other things besides be, oh, yes.
In which movie
Okay.
you said about Dimple Kabadia?
I didn't know. I met Simple Kapadia at a EST communication workshop.
Okay.
I invited her out. I go to Juhu to pick her up. I see her sister signing $1 million contract for her second movie. She was divorcing her husband, who was a famous actor.
Rajesh.
Yeah. And I never have to say the name. And she had 2 kids that she raised, and then she wanted to get back in the movies. So she was doing that. But I saw her and I said, would you like to go out tomorrow night? And we went out the next night, and neither of them were right for me. So I didn't date him again, but it was an experience. Both of them were beautiful, but especially, Dimple. Sadly, I understand that Simple passed on already, but c'est la vie.
Wow. Very impressive about India. You have experience from that, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have experiences down in South Africa too.
Great, yeah. So, yeah, I have gained a lot of things from your sharing and everyone here as well. And sometimes we just able to lead our horse to the water. You are not able to make it drink, right? So
Yeah.
to change themselves, we are not able to do that. So that's why we have to be knowledgeable. Yeah, knowledge very powerful and important to change ourselves, right? And to adapt with new situation and balance both everything in life. That's so important. Yeah. So mindset, our from ourselves, not other people can change us. Even my friends as well. They have to pay high cost, even their life. They lost their life. I have lost my close friends. I feel so sad for that, but not easy to change their mindset. That's so very sad and disappointed. But we have to accept because they disbelieve. They don't believe in the thing in life, knowledge, right? So
Well,
that's why.
as we say in Islam, inshallah, as God wills it. And we can't do anything other than what God wills. Otherwise, God's not God.
Yes, yes. So that's so amazing today. So, Mr. Hassan, do you want to say something?
Yeah, for sure, but
Yep,
I'm
thank
waiting
you.
for my turn. First of all, nice to meet you, Mr. Kurt.
My pleasure, Hassan.
My name is Hassan, and I'm from Turkey. Maybe
Turkey,
you know.
where?
Yeah, Turkey, Istanbul.
Istanbul.
Yeah, the most crowded city in Turkey, maybe.
My goodness, it is that's one city I would love to go to because I love the Byzantine Empire time period. It was so magical. You had Greek fire, you had, oh God, and then Hagia Sophia, and
Yeah, everybody should visit Istanbul as soon as possible. If they are really interested in historical places and natural beauties, they should come here as soon as possible. And I just want to ask a question because probably you are a really optimistic guy because you are always talking about positive situations. But the reality is a little bit different, especially in my country. And I just want to give you some examples and you will understand what I mean easily. In my country, our children look like racehorses. They are running in this education system. They are constantly preparing for examinations that will change the course of their lives. Therefore, they don't have spare times for social activities, including doing sport. Trust me, they don't have time.
I understand.
My son is going to a private school, and the state schools are worse. Because for the good future, first of all, they have to pass the university examination. So this is my idea. I know as a father, they don't have time especially for social activities. So as a father, I'm working for them. I'm trying to prepare them a nice, beautiful future. Of course, whenever I arrive home, I'm trying to spend much more time with my kids, but I know it is not enough. So what can you advise us to make our kids happier? And one more question. As far as I listened, you talk about yoga sessions, meditations. In Turkey, without any doubt, these activities are really useful to distress ourselves. But in Turkey, if you don't know how to do all these activities by yourself, you need extra budget. You should pay extra money for these activities. And people are challenging with pandemic and its effects. So it's really too difficult for people to pay extra money for any other activities. They are spending all their monies for their kids' education. So what should we do? What are your advices for us to make our sons a little bit happier? Thank you.
Oh boy. You know, it's interesting that you brought up this happiness because every parent wants their children to be happy. I don't know a single one that doesn't. I designed a happiness class for what's called a ghetto school, a school that had one of the biggest gangs in the whole San Fernando Valley, which has about 2 million people here. 3 years later, kids are still doing the homework. And if you email me, I will send you 2 things as attachments, because I don't know if I can send you an attachment now or not, but I just put in a link to a TED Talk, also to a fun song. It's a very unique kind of a song. And simply taking 30 to 60 seconds a day, periodically through your day, and just laugh. Now, I'll give you an example. Right now, I want you to laugh in all the different ways you've ever heard somebody laugh. So sometimes there's I call it the machine gun laugh. It's like this. And another one is hee-haw, hee-haw, or something like that. And just play with it. But how many times are we trying to play? We don't. When I was this was in the physical education class, the happiness class. So I had them, okay, I have 40 kids here, or 80 kids, or whatever the number of kids are. I say, okay, here's the campus. I want you to go and find one little leaf from 5 different kinds of trees and run back as fast as you can. And of course, they're trying to get there first or something. And I say, everybody won. And they say, everybody won. I say, yeah, you got back as fast as you could, didn't you? We teach them that we're not having to compete. We're only competing against ourselves, but we're also having fun. And if we're having fun, that's the important thing. We focus on what we want, not on what we don't want. We also do other things, and so on and so forth. There's a list of happiness habits that I can attach sometime, or you can just email me. It's successsystemsinternational@gmail. And I will reply if you ask about happiness. If you ask about anything I've talked about, go for it. So did that satisfy your particular query on that? Now also treat some of this stuff as a game. So it's like memorization kind of things. You can treat things as a game, and when you do, it's a lighter thing to do, and people can things can happen a lot easier. I would suggest every single day before you go into school or anywhere else is meditate for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And in another part of your day, do a similar kind of a thing, or do a particular exercise that allows you to focus. Like have you or any of your children ever been taught how to concentrate in school? Did anybody teach you how to concentrate? If they did, raise your hand, because they sure didn't in my school, but they told me to. There's concentration techniques in this book. There's stress release practices in Winning Ways for Living. Some of that stuff is on my peak performance prompters, sort of, what is it called? I guess it's my YouTube channel. Look on that. has also the one that has the most, it's either my wife's name or my name on it. The one that has the most, see that, because there's other videos that are really good to be inspired by. Like I mentioned one film, The Emerald Forest, but there's all kinds of, have you ever heard of a guy named Prince E? It's EA.
EA, Prince EA.
He's got some great videos. He's an outstanding person. Zita, aapke sahe.
I got it right. I think for being, for having happy children, we have to be happy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the
They
model.
follow us.
Yeah.
And you need to be children.
Because they follow us. And for training them in good way, we have to train ourselves at the first step, right?
Walk the talk.
Yeah.
Like when we have a small kids of 3 months or 4 months, small kids, we can make him laugh. When we behave like him, then only he can understand our language. When he grows,
it is our language. That's the thing.
Yeah.
His language is our language.
His language is our language. When we start talking in the same manner, babbling, we also start babbling. Then he understands, yeah, you're talking about this thing. Then he understands everything. When you start nodding, when you start using your entire body, all the hand movements, entire body gesture, he understands everything. All the communication.
Well, you can pass on your style of laughter to him, or you can give him an experience of all different kinds of laughter. And, you know, like people do skipping. There's different ways to skip. And like if you go like this, put your baby finger with your thumb and your forefinger with your thumb, okay? One is on each hand. Make sure that one is the baby finger and one is the thumb, okay? Now, face it like this. It's facing you. Your hands are like you are. Yeah, that's it. Okay, now walk it across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are you back to the same place or some other place? Let's walk it across and back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Walk it. Did you get to the same place? No, I only stopped at the end of one round. You're keeping on going. But oftentimes people mess that up. It's like, okay, grab here. Right here, nose and ear. Okay. That's it, Azita. Everybody does that.
Both here.
Are you ready to switch? Switch. Are you ready to switch? Switch. So that helps your neocortex. That helps your new brain. The syncing of your front and left side of your brain. So when you open up that area, your son will memorize things better. Every 20 minutes for an adult type of a person, anybody over 15 or so, or 12, make sure every 20 minutes they have a timer. Get them to do a cross crawl movement. Now, cross crawl movement is like a little kid crawling. So left knee to right elbow, right knee to left elbow. And you, as you're bending forward, you breathe out. As you're standing up, you breathe in. As you bend forward, breathe out, stand up, breathe in. And when you do that, that again is getting your breathing to be set. It's oxygenating your body. The brain uses more oxygen than any other organ and all of that. So we get to be happier by doing simple little things. We get to learn better because your brain will work better when you do that. Simple as that. But I got to get going. Excuse me, I get to get going. So I'm so happy to be here. And remember, to remember instead of don't forget. Because I have something about empowering words. If we say, don't forget, what do people hear? Forget. And so instead we remember. We remember more parts of our brain. We remember. We bring more members together and you saw me drinking. Now, I normally have some chai, but I also drink water in a particular colored, because this color has a vibration that can actually help the water energize for this body to be better. And water is the most valuable thing on the planet.
Yeah,
Gold
for
is
sure.
not valuable. You can't eat gold.
Mr. Krueger, thank you very much for joining with us. And I hope next time join with us, give time to us. I just want to know about law of attraction from your side.
The law of attraction.
Law of attraction. Some
It's a
body
Law of
techniques,
It's a
a lot
great
of
work. Abraham Hicks is a great teaching. It's a very good teaching. I've known about that for 20 years, 30 years, something like that. What you focus on is what you get. When you think that you have to have evil, that evil's going to be because the yin and the yang, what if that is not true? What if there is only real consciousness, real love, and that's all there is love? What if we treated that song by John Lennon, Imagine? What if we acted like that? What if we saw God in each other? Well, we're in heaven. I was on that hijacked airplane. I got into the deepest state of meditation I'd ever been in on the hijacked airplane. What can't you do? You're just like me. You're another me. You're another you. So we can accomplish. So the only picture in my book is a man lifting over 7,000 pounds with one arm off a standard. 3 out of 5 times he was over 60 years old. What can't you do? There's nothing you cannot do. Look at Making Miracles in my book. It'll describe a number of things that people consider miracles, and yet this little guy did it. Now, if I can do it, why can't you? Just because I was raised in San Fernando and drank well water all my life? Just because I ate organic food? No. There's so much more that you can do that I can't. You have a particular gift that Allah gave you.
there is one important thing, what you're feeding to your mind. That is also important. Like what you're eating, that's a different thing. And you should also feed something that can nurture you, that can also sustain you, that can also push you, to encourage you.
Always. And the company you keep affects you greatly. That's why people they'll resonate to this hive instead of that hive. And I use the hive as an example because they actually cooperate. Everybody in the hive does their job, whether they're the worker bees or whether they're the queen or whatever they are. And we get to do this with my property we've worked at rejuvenating it because we live on what's called Tongva territory. Tongva's the indigenous people from here. I get to attempt to be able to care for it like they did so that it will thrive. And when it does, we do. Like I have this hill to look at that will never be built on.
Oh, high heel.
And this fence, on the other side of that fence, coyotes and my dog used to run down on the other side of that fence. My dog's crazy, you know. He's old now, but he used to run with the wild animals. We've had a bear on our doorstep. And I live 20 miles from Los Angeles. Now, I'm so happy to be here. Another time, we'll keep in touch and practice every day, throughout your day, the gifts that you've been given, and share them. Share the links that I've shared with you. Share the Four Sacred Gifts is a beautiful, beautiful book that when you listen to it, it's like you're sitting around a campfire and you're listening to wisdom come into you easily. And some of the stories in it are so sad. Oh my God. But also some incredible beauty of joy, and so on. But you get to have some wisdom in an easy way or a challenging way. But we can always face the challenges. Always. Look on the bright side of life. I don't know if you ever saw Monty Python. But thank you so much for your gift of being here now. And catch you later, Alligator.
This was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much.
The way you
sir.
have replied, all the
Mr.
questions
Church,
answered. And I
it
think
was
that
a big privilege for me to listen to you.
exactly. And I would be happy to upload the entire session on YouTube. And I want that all the participants, they must watch you. They must understand the experience you have gained from your life. You have traveled all over the world, almost places, almost countries you have traveled. So these
Obviously.
people must know about the way you have answered all the
Yes.
words, all the sentences. It looks like that the ornaments, the precious stones were coming from your mouth.
Right.
I mean, blessings abound when you're around. And I use the capital Y. When you're around. When you are present with the people you are with. That's how you're that gift. You are the present. When you're not present, like usually, we will open up what I call, or what some people call, sacred space. A beautiful thing in India, you go namaste.
Yeah.
Or you go alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, a greeting, bringing God present. And when we do approach a person as if God is present, we are present. And we are that gift because we are an aspect of God. And we're either a gift or we're not. So be present. And thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
sir.
much, Wang. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Wang,
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
for
for
Yeah.
inviting me.
being here and for your advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm very surprised when he accepted to join the session. So immediately I closed the breakout room to invite our members to get back to the main room. Yeah, to interact with him. Yeah, so that kind of valuable times he gave us, right? Yeah, so that really amazing.
Still, he is so energetic and he has a lot of ideas. Because he has traveled
Yes.
a lot of countries, so that's why he has a lot of ideas. And we must invite him once again. And the way he answered, the way he shows his hand movements, all the things, the way
Yeah.
he
Really
speaks,
amazing.
that's great.
Yeah, inspired a lot. Yeah, for me, this is the second time I talk with him.
And
But
I was,
I feel
I
like
was watching that his mind was how he is concentrating his mind. He's also speaking, listening, everything, and he's also sending everything on chat box. A lot of things, a lot of stuff he has shared on the chat box. I'm just
yeah,
watching.
multitasker. This guy multitasker. Yeah, he could do everything at the same time.
Yeah. He practiced.
At the age of 75 years, like he's
Yeah.
fantastic person. He's very nice person.
Right,
And
75 years old.
and I'm very happy because he is inspired by our country, India. He's been here. He'd been in Bombay, and he also met one actress, Dimple Kabadia. And
Right.
he knows a lot of things about country, and he also puts his son's name, that's Indian name, Narayana. Narayana is called as a god. And his wife's name is Lakshmi. She's also
He
goddess.
could remember a lot of things, even movie star or something like that.
Yeah, because he has
Like,
good memory.
amazing.
He has good memory. He
Yes.
has done a lot of practice in his life. So that's why he's able to speak. He's able to do all
Obviously.
these things. That's great.
Right.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
for providing
And
this
the session a little bit
opportunity.
long, but that's kind of
Online.
gift. Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Huang. Thank you very much. Great.
you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye. See you
Bye.
tomorrow. Bye. Bye.